All right, get ready because this story starts off a vibe that's both bleak and weirdly cozy. So, we open on this frail, sleep-deprived guy named Sonny. He's sitting on this old, rusty bench across from a police station, clutching a fancy cup of real plant-based coffee. Not that synthetic junk the poor usually drink. Nah, this is the real deal. And it basically cost him everything he had. But here's the thing, he doesn't even like it. He takes a sip, makes this disgusted face, and goes, ugh, so bitter. Dude literally forces himself to keep drinking it just because it was expensive. He even mutters, I should have bought meat instead. Like, come on, bro. Treat yourself and at least enjoy it. He tries to stay awake, slaps himself in the face, and tosses the cup, which completely misses the trash. Classic. But Sonny's that kind of guy, he sighs, picks it up, and actually throws it away properly. Then, he just straight up walks into the police station. At this point, he looks totally out of place. His clothes are cheap, he's all pale and skinny, and everyone else in this rich part of the city is rushing by, tall and well-fed. But Sonny? He's got other things on his mind, like the fact that today might be his last day alive. Inside the station, a crusty old officer takes one look at him and basically says, Kid, you lost or something? Sonny, totally unfazed, goes, Nah, I'm here to turn myself in. I've got the nightmare spell. Boom. The vibe shifts instantly. The officer freezes, eyes narrowing. You sure? He asks. Sonny just shrugs and goes, Yeah, started about a week ago. And that's when the panic sets in. The officer slams a button and yells, Code black in the lobby. Like, full-on emergency mode. Now here's where we get some background. The nightmare spell first appeared decades ago, back when the world was already in shambles. Natural disasters, resource wars. Humanity was barely holding it together. Then people started getting super tired, falling into these deep comas, and then dying. And not just dying, turning into monsters. Nightmare creatures. Yeah, things got real bad, real fast. Governments were useless, militaries got wrecked, and chaos took over. No one knew what the spell really was, or how to stop it. But then came the awakened, people who survived the spell's trials inside their dreams and came back with powers. They helped rebuild order, more or less, but the damage was already done. And while the world was still figuring things out, for Sonny, none of that mattered until now. He hadn't trained. No family, no resources, no fancy legacy gear. For rich kids, getting chosen was a shot at power. For Sonny, it was a death sentence. Back in the station, they strap him into this intense-looking chair in the basement, kind of like a cross between a hospital bed and a medieval torture rig. Cops with rifles stand nearby, just in case. But Sonny, all he can think about is sleep. He's so tired. Then this older officer walks in, gray hair, tough face, no-nonsense energy. He checks Sonny's restraints and asks, What's your name? Sonny blinks and says, Sunless. Yeah, that's his real name. Apparently, his mom had a poetic streak and named him that because he was born during a solar eclipse. His little sister was named Rain. Kinda sweet, kinda sad. The officer offers to contact his family, but Sonny's like, There's no one left. Don't bother. So the cop gets serious. How long can you stay awake? Sonny's like, Not long. And the officer goes, All right, we're skipping the procedure. Just listen closely. What follows is this heavy moment. The officer basically drops the truth behind the spell. Like, yeah, you'll go into the dream realm. Yeah, there'll be monsters. But there'll also be people. And here's the kicker. They're not real. Just illusions. Tests. Sonny's skeptical. How do you know? And the cop just stares him down. Because you might have to kill them. Oof. That hit hard. Then he explains how the difficulty of the trial depends on luck. The spell doesn't want to murder you. It's testing you. But Sonny's background? It puts him at a serious disadvantage. Still, the officer tells him not to give up. Outskirts kids are tough. Then they get to the powers. If Sonny survives, he'll come out with abilities. And those depend on his natural affinity and what he does in the nightmare. But the first thing he has to do once he enters a dream is check his attributes and aspect. Combat aspects are the best. Stuff like swordsman, archer, anything that lets you fight. If you get a physical boost with that, even better. But even if you get something weird or magical, you can still make it. Just gotta be smart. The lights start to blur. Sonny's eyes are drooping. The officer's voice is fading. He says, "If you die, a nightmare creature appears in the real world. So do us a favor, don't die, okay?" Then he adds, "Or at least stall for a few hours, so we don't have to fight the thing ourselves." That last line actually makes Sonny smile a little. And then it happens. The darkness takes over. And from the void, a voice echoes. "Aspirant, welcome to the nightmare spell. Prepare for your first trial." Man, the dream is just beginning. So Sonny has this dream, right? But not just any dream. This thing is eerie and straight up surreal. He sees this massive mountain, all jagged and alone, just slicing through the night sky. The moon's lighting it up in this ghostly glow, and there's this old road barely clinging to the side of it. On one side, a vertical cliff. On the other, just a black void of nothingness. The wind is howling, like it's trying to rip the whole mountain apart. Then boom, the moon drops like a stone, the sun shoots across the sky in reverse, and snow starts flying back into the clouds. That's when Sonny realizes time is reversing. We're talking centuries flying by in seconds. Snow melts, bones appear all over the road, and then, out of nowhere, a caravan of slaves shows up, moving backward down the mountain, all rattling in chains. Then time hits pause, switches gears, and starts flowing normally again. Suddenly, Sonny hears this ominous voice. "Aspirant, welcome to the nightmare spell. Prepare for your first trial." And Sonny's like, what the hell is this? Now he's in it. Not dreaming, not imagining. This is real. He's on that same mountain from a dream, shackled, bleeding, freezing, and dragging his feet along that ancient road with a chain gang of exhausted, half-dead slaves. His feet are torn up, wrists mangled from the cold iron, and he's wearing practically nothing in this ice storm weather. He looks around and sees dozens of other prisoners, all roped to the same chain. In front of him, there's this big dude with a wrecked back, walking steady. Behind him, a twitchy guy muttering curses in a language Sonny somehow understands, even though he definitely shouldn't. And just to make it worse, armored horsemen keep riding by, looking at them like they're less than garbage. Now, Sonny's freaking out a little. This whole thing feels wrong. When people usually get pulled into their first nightmare, which is like some kind of magical survival test, they at least get some kind of fighting chance. Maybe they show up as warriors or nobles with gear. But Sonny? He starts off at rock bottom, literally a shackled slave on death's doorstep. Still, he's trying to stay logical. The spell is known for throwing people into brutal scenarios, but it's supposed to be balanced. If it dumps you into the fire, it's got to give you something good in return, right? So Sonny starts trying to check his stats, just like in those webtoons he read as a kid. He thinks status or info or whatever, and sure enough, glowing runes pop up in front of him. He can't read the letters, but he gets what they say. And then he sees it. Aspect, temple slave. Bro, the way Sonny loses it right there? Hilarious. His face just drops. His aspect isn't just weak, it's pathetically weak. Like, the description literally says it's useless. But rarer. Like, that helps. He's in total disbelief. And that's when he stumbles. The whole chain jerks and the guy behind him snaps. Whore's bastard. Watch where you're going. Sonny tries to recover, but stumbles again, and now the guy's fully losing it, threatening to kill him. Meanwhile, the big dude in front just chuckles and goes, "Why bother? The mountain will do it before sunrise." And then he adds, "Honestly, it'll kill us all. Just a matter of time." Another argument breaks out, and a third voice joins in. This one's calm, smart-sounding, and way more observant. He warns the others not to mess with Sonny. Why? Because Sonny wasn't some prisoner thrown into slavery for debt or crime. He was born a slave. A temple slave, to be exact. And that means something. Apparently, The last temple of the Shadow God was recently destroyed, and Sunny might have been one of the only survivors. That little detail makes the others pause, especially when the guy says, "Do you really want to risk angering a god?" The big dude goes quiet. Even the twitchy guy shuts up. But then comes a new twist. This young, noble-looking soldier rides up. He's got the classic main character look. Handsome, dignified, way too pretty for this messed-up world. He sees Sunny struggling and actually cares. He even offers him a drink of water, looking all kind and heroic. Sunny's about to drink when, crack, a whip tears through the air and smacks him right in the back. An older soldier storms up, eyes burning with rage. Apparently, showing kindness to slaves is a big no-no. He scolds the younger soldier hard. They're not people. Treat them like people, and they'll start imagining things. Then he threatens to whip him next if he tries it again. The younger soldier just stands there, head down, silent. He doesn't fight back, doesn't defend Sunny, just folds. And Sunny? He's watching all this, bleeding, freezing, humiliated, and he makes a silent promise. "I don't know how, but I will watch you die first." Then he glances at the younger guy. "And you second." Sunny's in a mood, like he's just not feeling it. Everything sucks. He's hurting all over. He's trudging along in this freezing wasteland, chained up with a bunch of other miserable folks. But then he takes a deep breath, and you know what? The air is actually amazing. Way better than the nasty, dusty, chemical-smelling stuff back in the real world. It's crisp, clean, so good it feels illegal. Sunny cracks a bitter little joke to himself, like, guess getting chosen by the spell has its perks. If only his feet weren't frozen, his wrist didn't feel broken, and his back wasn't screaming, it might actually be a decent moment. The slave caravan's dragging itself up the snowy mountain trail. People are stumbling, falling, and the ones who can't keep up, they just get cut loose and tossed off the cliff. Literally. No hesitation. Sunny watches a few fall and mutters something like, "Rest easy, poor souls." Kinda messed up, but he's not cold-hearted. He just knows there's nothing he can do. And weirdly, his mood's not all bad. See! By this point, Sunny's had time to mentally prep for this whole nightmare situation. When he first found out the spell had marked him, he freaked out. Understandably. I mean, who wouldn't if they realized they were basically marked for death before even turning 17? But after a few days, something inside him just snapped into place. He went to visit his parents' resting place, which wasn't even a proper grave, just names carved into an old tree, and he added a third line, for himself. After that, it was like all the pressure lifted. No more scrambling for food, no future to stress over, nothing left to lose. So yeah, being a slave, slowly freezing to death, it didn't hit him as hard as it should have. Plus, he already knew he wasn't going to die from the cold. That's not how this ends. Because Sunny's seen it, the future. A glimpse, a vision. The path ahead is littered with bones. And it wasn't frostbite that killed him. It was something else. Something big. And judging by the way things were going, it was coming fast. But that meant he still had a chance. So he pulls up his status again, those glowing runes that show your attributes and aspect. Last time he was too pissed to really pay attention, but now he takes a good look. First up, fated, and wow, this one's wild. Basically, fate sticks to him like glue. Good things, bad things, insane coincidences, all just happens around him. Which explains a lot, honestly, like how he ended up with one of the rarest and most useless aspects in the system. Next, Mark of Divinity. Sounds super epic, right? But nah, it's basically a faint divine scent that might help him enter sacred places or use certain kinds of magic, assuming any of that was relevant right now, which it's not. And finally, Child of Shadows. This one, kind of a mystery until the sun goes down. As soon as darkness hits, Sunny realizes he can see perfectly, like it's still daytime. No squinting, no shadows hiding anything. It's a legit power-up. And maybe, just maybe, the shadows have even more gifts waiting for him. Right when he starts wondering what else this weird ability can do, someone yells, "Stop the caravan." Prepare to camp. The group halts. Everyone basically collapses on the spot, exhausted and freezing. They're on a little patch of road that's slightly sheltered from the wind, but it's still brutally cold. The guards shove all the slaves into a tight circle to share body heat. They light a bonfire in the middle, but only after taking care of their precious horses first. Of course, Sonny notices that one young soldier again, staring up at the mountain like he's expecting something. Kinda sketchy. Anyway, back to the bonfire drama. Some of the stronger slaves push their way toward the warmth. But Sonny? He's stuck on the edge, freezing his butt off, chained in place. The big guy next to him tries to inch closer too, but no luck. Damn Imperials, the guy growls. A few guards come around with food and water, if you can call it that. Sonny gets a sip of ice-cold water and a chunk of modi, rock-hard bread. He eats it anyway. Starving people can't be picky. And from the looks of it, everyone else's stomach is still growling too. One guy, the shifty type who's always looking over his shoulder, glances around desperately. Then his eyes land on some bright red berries growing through the snow nearby. He starts crawling toward them, clearly thinking, free snack. But then a calm voice cuts in. I wouldn't eat those if I were you. It's the soft-spoken guy again, the one with the quiet authority. Sonny turns and finally sees him clearly for the first time. He's tall, mid-40s, sharp features, and this weird air class, like professor who took a wrong turn and ended up in chains. What's he doing here? The shifty dude snaps. You again? Why not? The scholar just sighs and says, those are called bloodbane berries. They grow where people have bled out. That's why they're all over the slave routes. So, they're poisonous. A handful could kill a grown man. Curses. The guy recoils like he almost got bit, then glares at the scholar like it's his fault. But Sonny barely notices any of that, because while he's scanning the area, something clicks. He knows this place. It's the same spot from his vision, the place where bones were buried under the snow. And whatever wiped out the caravan, it's about to happen. As if right on cue, a loud, thunderous boom shakes the air. Sonny snaps his head up just in time to see something massive crashing down from the sky. And just like that, the nightmare really begins. The scene kicks off in total chaos. Out of nowhere, there's this insane thunderous noise, and everyone, mostly slaves, looks up just in time to see rocks and giant chunks of ice raining down from the sky. People are screaming, chains are clanking, and it's full-on panic. Bodies are hitting the ground, and not because they want to. They're tripping, getting yanked by the chains, dragging others down with them. But then there's Sonny. This guy, he stays on his feet, calm, focused, like he knew something like this was coming. He looks up into the night with these sharp, enhanced eyes of his, takes one step back, and boom! A boulder of ice slams down right in front of him and explodes into a shower of deadly shards. One step in the wrong direction, and he would have been done for. Everyone else? Not so lucky. Screams turn into wails. People are getting hurt. Some aren't getting back up. It's rough. Then the grumpy veteran soldier, the same guy who whipped Sonny earlier, starts yelling at everyone to get to the wall. Classic drill sergeant energy. But before anyone can make a move, something huge crashes down right between them and the mountain slope. It's like the world just stops for a second. At first, it looks like some dirty snowball, the size of a horse. Weird but not terrifying. Then it starts moving. It unfolds itself, and holy hell, it's a monster. Like a proper nightmare fuel kind of monster. 4 meters tall, hunched, long, bone-clawed limbs. Fur that looks like yellow-gray slush and probably shrugs off swords like paper cuts. And then you get to its face. 5 milky white eyes, teeth for days, and it's drooling. Not even a little, like full-on waterfall of goo. And the worst part? Its skin is alive. Something is moving under there, worming around, its stomach turning. And guess who's closest to this thing? Yep, Sonny. He sees it slash at him and doesn't hesitate. Dives to the side just in time. The guy next to him? Not so lucky. Gets sliced open, blood everywhere, and lands right on top of Sonny. Like crushed under a corpse, drenched in blood. He's literally stuck and still managing to joke in his head, like, dude, why are you so heavy? Then, bam, that monster goes full rampage mode. Screams explode all around. Chains are pulling. People are being dragged. Sonny's disoriented, wrists screaming in pain. But eventually the chain slackens and he shoves the body off him, just when he thinks things couldn't get worse. Oh, they definitely do. He feels something move under the corpse's skin. And Sonny's like, really? Really? He scrambles back, as far as the chain lets him, and watches in horror as the dead guy starts changing. Bones poking out, muscles twisting, claws growing, face splitting open with way too many teeth. The dude's turning into another monster, right there, in front of him. And it hits Sonny. This isn't just bad. It's wrong. See, there's supposed to be rules in these nightmares. Like, set types of creatures depending on the stage. But this thing? This isn't some regular beast. This is something only high-tier nightmare bosses, like tyrants, are supposed to do. And they're never supposed to show up this early. So, yeah, Sonny's in deep. And the worst part? He's chained to this thing that's turning into a horror movie reject. One of the other slaves, the sneaky one, just stares at the transforming corpse in shock. Sonny's like, what are you doing? Move! But the chain's twisted under the corpse and trapping all three of them. No one's going anywhere. Then the monster rises. The transformation's done, and it is not pretty. Clicking noises, claws, teeth, spikes. It's ready to kill. But Sonny doesn't freeze. He doesn't panic. He acts. He grabs a chain and charges, sidesteps a claw swipe, dodges getting his face chewed off, and starts wrapping the chain around the monster. Pure survival instincts. Years on the streets taught him how to fight dirty, stay calm, and do whatever it takes. He pins the monster's arms with the chain, and when the others realize what he's trying to do, they join in, pulling the chain tight from the other side, try and keep the creature locked down. It works. Sort of. The monster's pinned, but now Sonny's right next to it. No distance. No room to breathe. So he goes for the only move he's got left, throws his own shackles around the thing's neck, uses his own back as leverage, and he pulls. With everything he's got. It's brutal. The thing is thrashing, clicking, trying to break free. The chain's groaning. His muscles are screaming. Blood is everywhere. But he holds on, just pulling, not giving up. And finally, the monster goes limp. Then, just when he thinks he's hearing things, that sweet, sweet notification drops into his head. You have slain a dormant beast, Mountain King's larva. Sonny legit just killed a monster way above his nightmare level. Alone, while chained. And the worst part? This is just the beginning. Sonny just dropped to his knees, gasping for air, completely wrecked after fight. Like, his whole body felt like it got thrown into a blender, even with adrenaline pumping. The pain was real, but despite all that, he was hyped. He just killed the larva, this grotesque nightmare of a monster, and that thrill? It was overwhelming. He didn't even care that the magical system didn't give him a reward item, like a memory. No sword, no armor, not even a scrap of gear. Bro would have killed for a warm coat at that point. He gave himself 3 seconds. Just 3 to breathe. Because yeah, this horror show wasn't over. When he finally got his head straight, Sonny looked around. The dead larva was still chained to him, which was great. Not. The chain hadn't magically vanished or anything. Nearby, Shifty and the Scholar, 2 other slaves, were trying to untangle the mess of links. Meanwhile, the area looked like a battlefield. Bodies were everywhere. Blood, limbs, chaos. A few slaves were lucky enough to escape, and were now sprinting into the darkness. Sonny just shook his head. Fools, he thought. You're dead either way. Turns out, at some point during the panic, the chain had actually snapped in half. That's why it went slack earlier. But even then, the shackles had some weird locking mechanism. Each person was stuck to a specific chain link, so even with it broken, they weren't totally free yet. Somewhere out in the dark, the tyrant, probably Mountain King, was still on the move. Sonny couldn't see it through the glow of the bonfire, but he felt it. The vibrations in the stone, the echo of screams, the distant growls. Yeah, the monster was still feasting. Soldiers were definitely still fighting it. Poor guys. But then Sonny noticed something even worse. Some of the bodies were moving. His stomach dropped. More larvae? Yep. One by one, for more nightmare creatures rose from the ground. Just as ugly. Just as deadly. One of them was way too close to Sonny for comfort. Damn it all, he thought. I just want to wake up. As the gross clicking of their limbs filled the air, one larva snapped its head towards Sonny and the others. Its fangs gleamed. Shifty panicked and dropped, praying to whatever gods he believed in. Scholar? Frozen solid. Sonny scanned ground for anything. A rock. A stick? Something. Nothing. Just blood and chains. So what did he do? He wrapped a chunk of the chain around his fist and got ready to throw hands. Come at me, you bastard. The larva lunged. Crazy fast. Like a blur of claws and teeth. Sonny barely had time to react. But then, out of nowhere, someone dashed past him. Slash! In one clean move, the monster was beheaded. Sonny blinked. What was that? Standing next to him was this young soldier, the same guy who had offered him water earlier. Dude looked like he walked straight out of a hero movie. Calm, collected, armor spotless. Sonny stared, brain short-circuiting. He's awesome. Wait, no, poser. He's a poser. The guy didn't say much, just nodded, then started walking toward the other larvae like it was no big deal. But before he got too far, he turned around and threw something to Sonny. Save yourself. Sonny caught it. Looked down. It was a key, a freaking key. His heart kicked into overdrive. This is the key to the shackles. Wasting no time, he dropped the ground and started working the lock. It wasn't easy. The mechanism was weird, but after a few tries, click. Freedom. He rubbed his wrists, eyes gleaming. Finally. Now it was his turn to act. Just then, Shifty started yelling. Boy, over here. Sonny looked at him. For a second, he thought about just leaving the guy. But nah, strength in numbers. Plus, despite all the threats Shifty had made earlier, Sonny couldn't bring himself to leave him chained up like that, so he ran over and freed them both. Shifty immediately lost his mind, laughing, dancing, acting like he won the lottery. Scholar was more chill. He just gave Sonny a grateful nod. Meanwhile, the soldier was going full beast mode in the background. 2 larvae were already down. The third one was missing an arm, still putting up a fight, but this dude danced around it like it was a game. Run! Shifty yelled, already ready to bolt. But Scholar stopped him. My friend, I would... If you say advise, I will bash your head in. These two could not stand each other. But Scholar made a solid point. He just pointed at the bonfire. If we run, we'll freeze to death before sunrise. And he was right. Sonny knew it. No fire, no life. That bonfire was their last hope in this icy death trap. Even if they somehow avoided the Mountain King, the cold alone would kill them. Shifty tried to sound brave. I'd rather freeze and get eaten, or turn into one of those things. But he wasn't fooling anyone. By now, the last larva was dead. The soldier had vanished, probably went to help the other fighters near the bonfire, which left the 3 slaves alone, surrounded by darkness, cold and fear. Scholar cleared his throat. The monster might be satisfied, or the Imperials might win. If we stay, there's a chance. If we run, we will die. Shifty was losing it. So, what do we do? Sonny didn't answer. He already knew Mountain King wouldn't stop. The guy was a tyrant, not a beast you could just outrun. And those soldiers, they probably didn't stand a chance either. But if Sonny wanted to survive, he'd have to take the fight to it. We go take a look, he said calmly. Shifty stared at him like he was insane. What? Are you crazy? You want to get closer to that thing? Sonny just shrugged and walked straight toward the chaos. Because in that moment, he knew one thing for sure. Running wasn't going to save him. If he wanted to live, he had to face the monster head-on. Sonny is standing face to face with death. Like, real, horrifying, you-got-no-shot kind of death. He's about to go up against a nightmare creature, and not just any monster, but a fifth category one. The kind of beast that even top-tier awakened warriors wouldn't mess with unless they were at least 2 or 3 levels above it. And Sonny? Yeah, he's nowhere near that. But the crazy part? He's still got to do it. Not because he wants to be a hero or anything, but because the only other option is dying a slower, nastier death. So at this point, he's numb to the fear. Like, what's the point of panicking when you're already screwed? And man, this thing, the Mountain King, is a walking nightmare. Across the bonfire, chaos is erupting. Slaves are getting ripped apart. Soldiers are falling left and right, and Sonny's just watching, dead-eyed, while this monster picks up a corpse by its chain, opens its massive jaws and chomps, splitting the body in two like it was a snack. Blood's just dripping from its jaw while its 5 creepy, milky eyes stare off into the void. Then a soldier makes a move, tries to be a hero, charges in with a spear, thinking maybe the upper arms are too busy. Nope, the Mountain King doesn't even flinch, just sticks out one of its lower arms, grabs a guy's head, and crushes it like it's a grape, then tosses the body over the cliff like trash. Shifty, one of Sonny's companions, starts hurling. He's straight up shaking, trying to make sense of why Sonny's still so calm. He looks at him and snaps. Well, we've seen it. Now what? Sonny just tilts his head, deep in thought, not saying a word. Shifty loses it, turns to the old scholar and says, "The boy is not right in the head. How is he not freaking out?" Scholar hushes him immediately. Shifty claps his hands over his mouth, eyes darting to Mountain King, praying the beast didn't hear. Fortunately, the monster's too busy devouring the dead, and heartbreakingly, the still alive, to care. Meanwhile, Sonny's brain is racing. He doesn't have powers. He doesn't have weapons. He's got nothing. So how the hell is he supposed to kill this beast? And then the sky flickers. A flash of light zips through the air and slams into the Mountain King's arm, sending sparks flying. It's a young soldier, the only one left standing, screaming, "Face me, devil!" as he tosses a burning stick. And Sonny just lights up. That's it. That's the distraction he needs. Because he's not planning to fight the Mountain King. Nope. He's going to let gravity do the work. He yells, "Come with me," and takes off running toward a huge wagon sitting near the cliff's edge. Shifty and Scholar exchange a "this dude's insane" look, but follow anyway. Maybe because they think he's got some divine plan, or maybe just because he's crazy enough to believe it'll work. Back at the fight, Hero Boy is still dodging like a maniac. He's diving, ducking, slashing, but his sword might as well be a butter knife. The Mountain King's fur and skin are just too thick. The guy is just barely hanging on, and Sonny's praying under his breath, "Don't die yet," at the wagon. Sonny points to the wooden wedges holding the wheels. "When I say go, pull 'em out and push." Shifty's like, "Why?" Totally lost. Scholar's already piecing it together, though. He's looking at the monster, then the wagon, then back at the cliff. Sonny doesn't answer. He sprints off, tracing the chains from the wagon. He's searching through the blood-soaked mess on the ground, and finally, he finds it. A chain with a dead slave still shackled to it. He drops to his knees, grabs the key, unlocks the cuffs, dumps the body, then relocks the cuffs around the chain itself, creating a kind of slip knot. Then it's go time. He screams, "Now!" Shifty and Scholar rip the wedges out and start pushing. Sonny grabs a long length of chain, turns to face the monster, and gets ready. The chain's heavy. The throw has to be perfect. He's holding his breath, calculating distance, weight, timing. Then he throws, spinning like a pro fisherman casting a net. The plan? Drop the loop near the monster's foot. Wait for it to step inside. Yank the chain. Trap the ankle. What actually happens? The Mountain King jerks back at the last second. The chain flies up and lands perfectly around its neck. Like, boom, iron noose. Sonny just freezes. He can't even believe what just happened. And then, he's screaming inside his head, yes! All that's left is for the wagon to roll off the cliff and drag the beast down with it. Sonny turns around to celebrate, only to see the wagon crawling like a snail. It's barely moving. He panics. The Mountain King's already reaching for the chain, ready to snap it. And just then, Hero Boy crashes into Creature's leg, knocking it off balance. Sunny doesn't hesitate. He bolts to the wagon, throws himself onto it next to Shifty and Scholar, and pushes with everything he's got. They're yelling, grunting, shoving, all three of them giving it their all. And finally, the wagon starts to pick up speed. At the same time, the Mountain King's hands grip the chain, muscles bulging as he starts to pull. It's now or never. This is it. It's just a matter of what happens first. The wagon falling off the cliff or the tyrant breaking free. It starts with Sunny, this scrawny, beat-up slave, pushing a busted old wagon up a mountain road like his life depends on it. And yeah, it kinda does. The oxen that were supposed to pull the thing? Dead. Instead, it's just Sunny and two other exhausted slaves trying to move this heavy piece of junk up the slope, while some gigantic, terrifying monster, known as the Mountain King, is closing in fast. Meanwhile, Hero, the soldier who used to be their captor, is out there fighting the thing. He manages to push it back with a brutal swipe from his weapon, but the creature's got 4 arms, and 2 of them go straight for the chain around its own neck. It's trying to rip that thing off before something very bad happens. Problem is, those massive claws it has, great for killing stuff, not so great for untying delicate knots around your neck. That delay? It gives Sunny just enough time. The wagon's rear wheels are already slipping off the road, hanging over this pitch-black cliff that looks like it goes straight to the center of the earth. The slaves are freaking out. One of them stumbles. Another nearly falls. But Sunny stays standing. He looks one last time at the monster, then throws everything he has into one final push. And boom, the wagon finally tips. It scrapes horribly against the rocks, screeching the whole way down. Sunny barely manages to keep himself from falling with it. He drops to his knees, panting, then glances at the Mountain King and smiles. Because the chain around the monster's neck, it snaps tight. And next thing you know, the Mountain King gets ripped off his feet and yanked over the edge like a sack of meat. Just gone. No roar. No scream. Just silence as it disappears into the abyss. Sunny, still gasping, just thinks, "Go and die, bastard." Then silence. His whole body is destroyed. He drops to the ground, cold, in pain, completely drained. And for a second, he thinks it might be over. Like, maybe he passed whatever trial this nightmare threw at him. But nope. No mysterious voice. No reward. Just pain, raw, physical pain, catching up to him all at once. His back is shredded from whips and monster spikes. His body's freezing, and he's just lying there, staring at the stars, wondering, what now? Then a shadow appears. It's Hero. The dude somehow made out okay, dirty, scratched, but still handsome as ever. He walks over, offers Sunny a hand, and says, "Stand up, you'll freeze to death." Sunny doesn't take the hand, though. Of course not. He forces himself to stand up on his own, biting through the pain. Around them, total carnage. Every single member of their caravan dead, slaughtered, mangled bodies, monster corpses, just absolute chaos lit by the flickering bonfire. Shifty and Scholar, the other 2 slaves, are still alive, but they're eyeing Hero like he might put them back in chains the second he gets a chance. Hero notices and just sighs, like he gets it. He tells them to come to the fire. They need warmth, and they've got to figure out what to do next. So now, it's just the 4 of them sitting around the fire. Shifty and Scholar are sticking close to each other, keeping distance from Hero. Sunny? He's even further away. Not because he's scared, just because he's always been like that. A loner. He's not good with people. Never has been. It's like he was born missing whatever it is that lets people connect. He's tried before, but it never works. People sense he's different, and they don't like it. So, yeah, he doesn't trust people. Doesn't want to talk. Just sits by the fire, thinking. Finally, Hero speaks up. Says that when the sun rises, they need to gather supplies and go back down the mountain. But Shifty isn't buying it. He's like, "Why?" "So we can get chained up again." Hero stays calm. Explains that they can go their own ways once they're off the mountain. But without the wagon's food and water, trying to cross the pass is basically suicide. Going down is their best chance at surviving. Scholar almost says something, then backs off. Shifty grumbles, but you can tell he's kind of convinced. Then Sonny, who hasn't said a word this whole time, speaks up, and what he says, "We can't go down." Everyone stares at him. Even Shifty, who immediately brushes him off like, "Don't mind him, he's touched." Not all there, if you know what I mean. But Hero? He shuts that down fast. He's like, "This kid just saved your life. Show some respect." Then he turns to Sonny and goes, "Why? Why can't we go down?" And Sonny, uncomfortable with all the attention, just looks at them and says, "Because the monster isn't dead." Bro chills. He drops to the ground, completely wiped out. But that feeling of victory? Yeah, it never comes. No system message, no reward, nothing. Just pain crashing through him like a freight train. That's when he realizes something's off. And then he says it, "Because the monster isn't dead." Everyone goes dead silent. Hero, Scholar, Shifty, they all turn and stare at him like, "What are you talking about?" Sonny can't explain how he knows. I mean, technically, it's because the spell didn't announce the kill. But he can't tell them that, so he just points out the obvious. That thing jumped from an insane height earlier and tanked it like a champ. Why would a simple fall kill it now? And honestly, nobody can argue with that logic. So now, they're all sitting around this bonfire realizing they can't go back down the mountain. If the tyrant survived, it's somewhere down there waiting, and going back would just be delivering themselves right into its claws. Hero stays calm, but you can tell even he's a little shaken. He nods and says, "Then we go up over the pass." But he doesn't stop there. If that monster's still alive, it might come back, and it might come soon. So now there's a sense of urgency. No more resting the whole night. They need to gather supplies now. Hero starts organizing everyone like a squad leader. He's calm but firm. They each get a task. Hero's going to carve up the oxen for meat. Scholar's looking for firewood. Shifty's on warm clothes duty. Though knowing him, that's probably not going to go how it should. Sonny? He's on water duty. Gotta search the dead soldiers for any remaining flasks. So Sonny heads off into the shadows, cold and tired, stumbling across one dead body after another. Then he finds him, the old soldier who had whipped him earlier. The guy's not dead yet, but he's clearly on his last breath, torn open, bleeding out, barely conscious. And this moment right here, it's intense. The old man reaches out for something. Sonny notices a shattered sword nearby, picks it up and asks, kind of casually, "Is this what you want? Try and go out Viking style, huh?" No response. Just a long, almost pleading look. And then Sonny leans in and, yeah, he slits his throat. He promised to watch him die. And he delivers. No hesitation. No emotion. Bro, this is the first time Sonny has killed a human. You'd think there'd be shock or guilt or something. But nah, he just sits there, quiet, keeping the old man company in his final moments. And then it hits. That whisper from the spell. You have slain a dormant human. You have received a memory. At first, Sonny's like, "Wait, that counts." Then he's hyped. He's hoping for something good. A sword, maybe. Some kind of cool weapon. But no. The spell gives him. Silver bell. Yep. A tiny bell. That rings. That's it. He checks the description, hoping for some secret power. Nope. Just a sentimental keepsake that can be heard from far away. Sonny's like, seriously? This dude's cursed with the worst gotcha luck of all time. Anyway, after that letdown, he loots the old man's cloak and boots. Officer gear. Sturdy, warm, definitely better than what he had. For the first time since this nightmare started, Sonny actually feels warm. He checks on the others. Hero's still carving meat like a pro. Scholar scouring the edges for firewood. Shifty? Supposed to be finding clothes. But he's over there looting rings off dead bodies. Classic Shifty. Sonny just sighs. His companions are a gamble. Survival is uncertain. And even the rules of the nightmare are still a mystery. But he's not new to rolling the dice. He knows he's got no choice. So he grabs the water flasks, adjusts his stolen cloak, and heads back. The rest of the night is brutal. No sleep, just them huddled around the bonfire, backs to the flames, eyes on the darkness, waiting for the monster to return. But it never does. Only Hero seems unbothered, calmly sharpening his sword like it's just another day. And then finally, dawn creeps in. Sunlight starts warming the cold stone. It's time to move. They gather their things and leave the platform behind. Sunny takes one last look. This was the place where the slave caravan was supposed to die. But somehow, he made it past that point. What's waiting ahead? No one knows. But one thing's clear. This nightmare isn't over yet. Our crew is trying to get the heck out of Dodge after a straight-up massacre. Their plan? Follow the road up the mountain pass and put as much distance as they can between themselves and the chaos before nightfall. Simple plan, right? Except the road is gone. Like, completely wrecked. A massive rock slide had smashed into pieces, and nobody knows if it happened last month or literally yesterday. All that's left is this insane drop, and Sunny's just standing at the edge of it, looking down like, well, cool. Then comes the question, what do we do now? Scholar asks it quietly, muffled by the fur cloak he'd scavenged. Meanwhile, Shifty, yeah, the kind of guy you don't want on your apocalypse team, starts losing it. Dude looks around all wild, then locks eyes on Sunny, clearly needing someone to blame. I'll tell you what we need to do. Get rid of some dead weight. He's got his eyes on Sunny's boots. Fancy ones. And then turns to Hero, this noble-looking young soldier guy. Shifty keeps ranting like, the kid's weak, slowing us down. And creepy, right? Doesn't he give you bad vibes? Hero just frowns, but Shifty's on a roll. Ever since he joined the caravan, everything's gone wrong. I swear he's cursed. Shadow God stuff. Sunny's trying real hard not to roll his eyes. Like, yeah, his life's been a train wreck, but it's not like he brought the bad luck. It's the other way around. The whole caravan was doomed, and that's why he ended up with them. Scholar, bless him, tries to clear things up. I never said that. But Shifty's still on the let's ditch the kid train. Shouldn't we get rid of him just in case? He's not going to last anyway. And here's where it gets sketchy. Scholar gives Sunny this weird look. Cold. Calculating. Like he's running some mental math on whether Sunny's more useful alive or not. Finally, he just goes, don't be too hasty. The boy might prove useful later. Thanks? Shifty tries again, but Hero finally steps in. Dude's calm, authoritative, total leader energy. We're not leaving anyone behind. And as for how long he'll last, worry about yourself. Shifty clenches his jaw but backs off, muttering like a sore loser. Then comes the million-dollar question. So, what do we do? They all look at the destroyed road, then the steep slope, then the cliff above them. Scholar thinks for a second and goes, back in the day, there used to be a path for pilgrims. It went all the way to the peak. The Empire later built a road over the pass. He points up. The old path's probably still there, above the rock slide. If we can reach it, we might get back on the main road. Everyone stares up at this brutal slope. It's steep, icy, and dangerous as hell. But technically climbable now, thanks to the rockfall. Shifty stares at it like, you want to climb that? Are you nuts? Scholar just shrugs. Got a better idea? Nobody does. So, time to climb. They prep what they can. Shifty and Scholar insist on dragging these heavy weapons they looted earlier, while Sunny reluctantly ditches his short sword. It hurt to leave it behind. But the climb's going to be a nightmare, and every ounce matters. He's already the weakest in the group. He can't afford any extra weight. And yeah, turns out he was right. That climb is brutal. Just 30 minutes in, and Sunny feels like his lungs are about to burst. His legs are jelly. His muscles are on fire. Every step is a struggle, and one bad move could send him sliding to his death. So he tries to distract himself. Think happy thoughts, he tells himself. Only what happy thoughts? Eventually, he lands on one thing. The boon of the first nightmare. See, in this world, passing your first nightmare trial is a huge deal. That's when you get your soul core, your aspect, and your first real shot at surviving in the dream realm. That's where all the awakened start their journey. The soul core, that's your power source. The stronger it is, the stronger you become. And nightmare creatures, the monsters lurking in that realm, they've got these cores too. Sometimes multiple cores, which makes them stupid powerful. The only way to strengthen your own? Kill monsters. Take their soul shards. Brutal, but that's the deal. Then there's the aspect ability. Basically your personal magic power. Could be combat-based, something mystical, or just straight up weird. No two are the same. And sure, the abilities are awesome, but they come with a downside, the flaw. Each person gets one, and some of them are bad. Like, game over bad. Sonny knows his odds aren't great. He's just a former temple slave, after all. But deep down, he's hoping, begging for a miracle. Maybe the spell will cut me some slack, he thinks. Give me at least an awakened aspect. Or an ascended one, if it's feeling generous. And then there's this legendary thing. A true name. A title the spell gives to someone it really likes. It doesn't do anything, but all the famous awakened have one. It's super rare. Sonny doesn't even bother wishing for that. Forget excellence, he mutters. Just give me power. But instead of feeling better, that thought just makes him more bitter. Maybe I'm allergic to dreaming, he jokes to himself, which is kind of tragic, since the dream realm's going to be his whole life soon if he lives that long. Still, the mental rant helps. He glances up and notices the sun's dropping lower. The air's colder too. Time's flying. Night's coming. And in this world, that's never a good thing. The three survivors are just standing there, staring down at what's left of Shifty. And even though everyone kinda expected it, actually seeing his body broken like that still hits hard. There's this heavy, gut-sinking feeling hanging in the air, like they're all realizing, yeah, that could be any one of us next. No one knows what to say. It's one of those moments where words just don't work. Finally, Scholar breaks the silence. He lets out a sigh and goes, "It's a good thing you took most of the supplies he was carrying." And yeah, it's cold, but not exactly wrong. Sonny clocks it immediately. This dude isn't grieving, he's calculating. Scholar tries to recover by tacking on a quick, "May you rest in peace, my friend." But Sonny's not buying it. Not for a second. See, Sonny grew up in the outskirts. He knows people. And the ones who act all kind and charming for no reason, they're the ones you gotta watch out for. Fools or monsters, and Scholar definitely doesn't seem like a fool. So from day one, Sonny's been keeping his guard up around this guy. Then Hero speaks up. "We have to go." His voice is calm, too calm, but Sonny can feel something buried deep behind it. Grief? Anger? He can't quite tell. Either way, it's time to move. They all turn away and start climbing again, leaving Shifty behind like yesterday's ghost. But Sonny can't shake this weird sense of guilt. It confuses him. Shifty was never a friend. In fact, he kinda had it coming. Still, it's a lot. Now, the climb gets brutal. The higher they go, the worse it gets. The wind slamming into them like it's trying to knock them off the mountain, and the air so thin that every breath feels like a chore. Sonny's head is spinning. He's nauseous, freezing, and sweating all at once. Just absolutely miserable. And altitude sickness? It doesn't care how tough you are. You could be the strongest person in the world and still drop like a fly. It's pure luck if your body can handle it. The cold starts creeping in deeper. Their clothes aren't cutting it anymore, and Sonny's out here questioning every life choice that led him to this frozen nightmare. This mountain doesn't care. It doesn't want humans here. But they have no choice. They keep pushing. Hours drag by. The three of them keep trudging forward, step by step, hoping they're close to that old past Scholar mentioned. But Sonny's starting to doubt it even exists. Maybe it was destroyed, or maybe they passed it already. Maybe Scholar's been lying this whole time. But just as he's about to give up, they see it. A narrow path carved right out of the black rock, winding up the mountain like a snake. It's not pretty, and parts of it are buried under snow, but it's flat. And in that moment, Sonny could have kissed the ground. Flat has never looked so beautiful. Scholar drops his bag and collapses, gasping for air. He's pale, half-dead, but he still manages a smug little "told you." Hero, ever the soldier, gives him a nod but stays focused. "Stand up," he says. We're not resting yet. Scholar begs for a few minutes, but before Hero can argue, Sunny stops him with a hand on the shoulder, and then he drops the bomb. It's gone. Hero blinks. What's gone? Shifty's body. That makes both of them snap to attention. They rush to the edge, looking down the slope. The blood still there on the rocks, but the body's missing. Scholar freaks and crawls away from the edge. Hero grabs his sword. Everyone's on edge now, and they all know exactly what this means. The monster. It's following them. Hero doesn't even try to sugarcoat it. We'll have to fight it soon. That's basically a death sentence. Fighting that thing? Not gonna end well. But surprisingly, Scholar stays calm. He's thinking, plotting. Not necessarily, he says real quiet. Both Hero and Sunny turn to him, like, you better explain yourself now. And then Scholar lays it out. If the monster's this close already, it's either smart enough to predict where they're headed, or it's tracking them by the scent of blood. Either way, he says, they might be able to throw it off. Scholar hesitates, like he really doesn't want to say it. But he does. We make the boy bleed. Drag him down the path. Leave him there. He'll be bait. And that's when Sunny realizes he was right all along. Scholar's been playing the long game. Back when Shifty wanted to kill Sunny, Scholar said, don't be too hasty. The boy might be useful later. Turns out, useful meant monster snack. What a snake. Hero stunned. What do you mean, make him bleed? Scholar just lays it out, all cold and logical. If the monster's tracking them, leaving a bleeding body behind is the only surefire way to get it off their trail. It's a kind of logic that sounds smart, but also heartless. Hero's just standing there, struggling to process what he's hearing. Scholar's playing the role of the reluctant pragmatist, saying it hurts him too, but the gods will reward the boy for his sacrifice. Sunny's just watching it all go down, calculating. If it comes to a fight, Scholar's basically already dead, no problem. But Hero? Hero's strong. And if he buys into Scholar's plan, things are going to get real bad, real fast. So now it all comes down to Hero. Will he go along with the plan or protect Sunny? Because either way, the monster's coming.